called up my friends and we had a chat, talking about life and just chewing the fat. They'll find it here on Biggie Nixz, small time big shots. So welcome to this, the first episode of Biggie Nixz podcast. We're still unclear on what the name is going to be. Originally the title was to be Big Time Small Fries, indicating that I'm talking to people who are big in their field, on the rise, and who I think deserve more recognition than what they're currently getting, but haven't quite hit the big time yet. Now, my first guest for the show this evening, I've got wonderful Alex Thomas with us from late November. Now, I say I haven't finished deciding on what to call the show because all the guests I line up keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where you guys are no longer, big time small fries. You're very close to being on the cusp of being small time big fries. So
I like it.
let's talk going back, Alex. We've got currently playing with late November. Just finished doing a couple of tours recently. You've got Palm Creek coming up this weekend.
Yes, sir.
You guys must be pretty stoked for that, yeah?
Yeah, man. It's home. It's like, I mean, Palm Creek, or it's Townsville Folk Fest now. Actually, yeah. They changed the name just this year. Late last year maybe. Anyway, but Palm Creek was, I think, probably the first festival to take us on when we were super young. With some of us would have still been in high school, and it was like our first, definitely one of the earliest gigs, and definitely the first festival that took us in. So
Yeah.
up Palm Creek, up Townsville Folk Fest.
Yeah.
We're back.
So,
We've kind of been going every year ever since, I think, which has been pretty nice. They haven't kicked us out yet, so let's keep going strong,
So you guys, late November, Townsville-based band.
Yes, sir.
Been around since 2016, I believe.
Give or take, yeah. So 2016 was definitely the year we got together, but we kind of dicked around for a couple of years. I wouldn't say we started taking it seriously until like maybe mid 2018. That kind, you know what I mean? There was like a couple of years of just jamming at houses and just like playing a gig here or there, whoever would have us, and then I don't know, we kind of kicked it into gear a couple of years later. So yeah.
Do you think like those early formative years though, not trying to get out there and gig too early and actually making sure that you had a solid sound and a really solid foundation, because that's something I find with you guys as a bass, like you've got your songs figured out. They're solid songs.
Do it. Sweet. No. I'll take it.
And well, like, all your recordings, everything like that, and even going back and watching some of your earlier videos, like you guys had a sound figured out that you were shooting for, as from what I could gather, and you kind of and to me, it's a sound that, like for a Townsville band, I find particularly, having come from Townsville myself and being around a much older Townsville scene than what you guys are currently in. But knowing the kind of environment that Townsville bands are kind of used to being in, it is refreshing to see like young bands having that sound that like, no, this is like, we've accumulated our influences from older, younger, what's happening now, but it's still got that a unique Townsville-ness to it. I think you guys still managed to. So is that something you've consciously kind of chosen to kind of keep a Townsville influence in the music as well?
I mean, I think it's just the Townsville influence just comes from who we're inspired by. And I think like Cody and myself in particular, super inspired by, back then it would have been like Lost Boys. You remember Lost Boys? And obviously like cause of my brothers, and then 3 Mile, so your band as well, and like obviously Casey and the Moonlight Band, um, Sam Wright in his band when he was playing at the time, Nicole Cross, Motions, Dan Baker, and Rob Howe's project at the time was called Broadcast Fiasco. He just goes
Yeah,
by
yeah,
Rob Howe now. But yeah, we just grew up being able to see that, being able to see people, um, in our circle, and all related to us in my case, and just yeah, just being super inspired by that and taking on that sort of that influence, and yeah, I guess
yeah,
trying to leave our mark in a unique way as well. And I feel like if you talk about the uniqueness of our sound, I guess maybe like we were just listening to uh we listen to a lot of like Midwest emo and sort of like bands that Australia in general doesn't really get around that much yet. It's
yeah,
getting
yeah,
more popular now, I've noticed, but at the time there wasn't many people like cranking that sort of music. So I think we kind of found our bond as a band through our shared music taste, and then yeah, just kind of adopted more and more of what the more niche things we were interested in. And
yeah, yeah,
I don't know, but also yeah, as you said, just like trying to approach it with a unique voice and stuff like that. And I guess that's the sound that we have. And then I guess coming from the jazz background with because like we all came out of Pimlico High
yeah,
jazz
yeah.
band, almost all of us.
And so that's how you
So it's
guys originally met each other, like.
yeah, yeah. So the original band was like yeah, we all met through school, just like school concerts and just hanging around and stuff like that. And like I was doing choir and doing a lot of skits and drama stuff, so I was kind of
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah,
in people's faces a lot. So I think and then like Cody and Aiden, Denzel, and at the time some other friends of ours, Lincoln, Ryan, Damo, they had Late Nov going already. So Late November was already a band.
oh, okay, right.
And then Cody invited me in just to like play guitar and do some singing, and then I kind of slowly took on the lead vocalist role. And then yeah, we got some friends like decided to focus on school more, so
Yeah,
they dropped out of the band. And then we got in Sam Nab on the drums. And then yeah, but Denzel, Aiden, and Cody are the OGs,
yeah, right.
and then Sam and I shortly after, and then Chris, Anthony, and Hayden most recently.
Yeah,
So yeah,
because it is interesting going back through this week doing a bit of Facebook stalking of your older stuff and looking at the evolution of photos of like slowly more and more guys being in the band, and these guys
yeah.
currently rival Slipknot for numbers,
You
like.
got one member away, so yeah.
That's it,
You
like.
just gotta find the right excuse.
But I think that's another interesting aspect of your band is the number of guys that are in the band, but also the number of sounds coming through in that band, um,
Hmm.
which I think is it's a really refreshing thing to hear a young group of guys that aren't just like, no, look, man, there's three of us. We're just gonna play three guys. Like, if we want to, if we want to make any money in this world doing music, let's split it three ways. Where you
Hmm.
guys have kind of gone, nah, look, like there's more interesting sounds than a guitar or a bass and a drum kit.
I
And
think there's definitely yeah, I think there's definitely merit in keeping it simple. And like I love so many three-piece bands and stuff like
yeah,
that. I think there's definitely great music to be made with, sometimes simple is best.
yeah,
But as I said, I think just like myself in particular, I think it was really pushing for like the horn section and stuff like that, having
yeah,
trumpet,
yeah,
having saxophone. Then we got alto sax, tenor sax. So Anthony on alto, Ado on tenor, and Chris on trumpet. I'm not sure which trumpet it is if you want to get specific.
yeah,
Maybe B
yeah,
flat trumpet or something like that. But if that's even a thing, I could have just made
yeah.
that shit up. Sorry, Chris, if I fucked that up. But yeah, I think I was pushing for like I don't know. I grew up, I guess, like inheriting a bit of my parents' influence and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
watching. So like for example, Paul McCartney, right after he went solo. just the concerts he would do and having this fucking massive band, or Dave
Yeah,
Matthews
yeah,
Band, you know what I mean? Cat Empire, Bon Iver, even like
yeah,
just
right, yeah,
I
yeah,
loved seeing like almost like an borderline orchestral
yeah,
like spectacle of a fucking band, even though it's like it's contemporary or pop music or
yeah,
rock, whatever you want to, whatever genre you want to put it in,
yeah,
just
yeah,
having like that was I hit the microphone, so just having that many people
yeah,
uh playing something all together like that was just like always, I guess, like the dream for me, and I guess I'm slowly living it, which is pretty cool. So
yeah.
like,
Dude, that is
yeah,
um ironic thing about your parents. So, as you're aware, your older brother and myself used to play in a band together, and that's
yes
how
sir.
I was first introduced to yourself in late November.
Hmm.
But my old man came to a 3 Mile gig one day, saw your older
Yeah,
brother, realized his last name was Thomas, and was like, "Hey, is
yeah,
his dad?" I can't remember your dad's name.
Bradley.
Brad. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like,
Hmm.
"Dropping the Burdekin." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, went to school with that guy." So
6 degrees of the
yeah,
Vatican,
dude,
man.
and it's
Was-
a funny thing because it's actually I run into Townsville musos all the time, right? Like
yeah,
Townsville music scene, it's a very interesting scene in the fact that they don't have cliques in the Townsville music scene, and they don't have age groups,
nah, it's
right?
just like
You got
it's just band together, and
you got
yeah,
60-year-old dudes hanging out with the 18-year-old guys, and there's punks hanging out with the metalheads, hanging out with the guys who are playing country, and the guys that are playing pop rock, kind of like.
yeah,
So
yeah,
in Townsville, when you meet a musician and you meet their band, within like a month, you can have effectively met like 30 other musicians in Townsville, right?
yeah,
And so
for
that's
sure, yeah.
why, like the Townsville scene, there's so many people within the Townsville scene that I know that have gone on to do other things or bigger things or just kind of not doing much with the music stuff at the moment.
Hmm.
But the Townsville scene that I knew growing up was a lot different to what you guys are experiencing now. And I think
Yeah, yeah.
one of the biggest differences is what you guys are getting to enjoy now is some of those bigger acts are now coming through town.
Yeah,
And
it's yeah.
one of the things I seem to notice is that you guys are pulling at least 60 to 70% of those fucking awesome opening slots, which I tip of the hat to you boys for that. Like,
Cheers,
just looking
yeah.
at some of the acts. So, like, some of those acts, highlights, like, what a few, those opening slots. Like, you just got Smith Street
I
announced.
can't fucking believe it, man. Like so it's like Smith Street Band the was a major bonding point for Cody and I. And obviously like all of us in the band in a way, but particularly like I don't know, there's a really special connection I have to Smith Street Band just because of the influence they had on me when I was younger.
Yeah,
And oh, we always kind of put ourselves forward to open for them in the past,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you just always give it a crack and see what happens. But
exactly.
usually they would have like a touring band with them, and that's cool. That's the
Yeah,
point of a tour, right? Is to bring new people to the town. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, you can't be too butthurt when you don't get it. But then yeah, and we knew they were coming, and we hadn't heard anything, and we were like, oh, okay, so we probably don't have this one.
yeah,
And then yeah, they asked us to do the whole the Queensland run, so the three
yeah, yeah.
dates, which is like it's gonna be Cairns. Beg your pardon, gotta get a burp out real quick.
Go for it.
We got Cairns, Townsville, and then Airlie, and then I don't know. And this is the first time I've loved all the support slots we've ever done, and like I can talk about more about those in a sec if you want. But what makes this one so special for me is like this is the first time I think I've noticed that we're like truly included in the whole like we're in the our name late November is in the all the promo videos,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah,
we were like you know especially presented by Smith Street Band, like
yeah, yeah,
you know they made an announcement and they tagged us in it, and like I don't know, that felt really special to me. It wasn't just like we
Yeah.
were the last minute opener slapped on, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
it felt like they sought us out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And to be, I guess, to know that we're finally in a position that a band like Smith Street Band is seeking us out is
Yeah.
really important to me. So, but yeah, of that being said, I've loved the stuff we've done in the past, like Lime Cordiale, back in 2018, actually, a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
We were just kids, you know, and to be able to play with the band like that
Yeah.
when you're that young is like pretty definitely lit a fire under us. You know what I mean? Like, got to do Thirsty Merc, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
there was like a little tick of what's
Yeah.
the word? Not quite approval, but you know what I mean? Like, I think when we did that, it was like some of the older heads that
Yeah.
like you know, obviously grew up on Thirsty Merc and stuff, see us opening for them.
Yeah.
And like, oh, okay, there's like little notches that you like little achievements that you make as a local band
Yeah,
that
yeah.
push you up in people's opinion a little bit. And I think that was like
Yeah,
an
yeah.
early one. Um,
Um,
yeah,
so do you
sweet.
and have you found that having those opening slots afterwards has your audience maybe not just grown in volume but grown in diversity in terms of
Yeah,
what
definitely.
people you're seeing at the shows?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not like the most life changing difference. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we've still got a lot of work to do, and we're still working towards a lot of stuff. But like every opening slot you do is like it's the opportunity to play in front of people that even in a small town like Townsville, because
Yeah.
Townsville's, you know, bigger than most regional towns, but is still a small town. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As you
Yeah.
said, like you once you talk to a few people in the music scene, chances are you're gonna know everybody
Yeah.
very quickly. And so uh to do the opening slots, and it's just another opportunity to play in front of, because that's the tricky part is playing in front of new people.
Yeah.
But like people in Townsville, I don't know if this is a regional thing in general or particularly for Townsville, but like people are hesitant to take chances on bands they haven't really heard of, or like, you know,
That's
Townsville's a very stay in sort of town, or unless it's a sport event, people come out and stuff like that. But when it comes to music, it's a little bit harder to
yeah.
get people to take risks. You know what I mean?
Eh,
As viewers.
oh,
So
100%, man. And it's kind of been that way in Townsville for as long as I can remember.
yeah,
You know?
it's still very much like that, but it's getting way better. Even in the short time that we've been doing stuff, I've noticed the difference since the start and now. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, we had like Tropic Fiesta recently. There's like people from Q Music and stuff like that, Brizzy crew coming through. As you
Yeah,
said, more
right.
people putting Townsville on the list
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like regional tours and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people since COVID, like moving out of the bigger cities into regional areas. So we
Yeah.
just the demographic has like it's just like a little bit more dynamic now than it was before. So
Yeah, yeah, right.
and then so yeah, I think it's getting better in my opinion, but that's just mine. You have to ask
Yeah.
around.
No, well,
I
dude, from
guess.
what I've seen, and talking to, you know, family members that still live in Townsville and mates that still live up there and mates in
Hmm.
the scene that are still up there, the scene you guys are experiencing now is worlds away from what I was doing when I was your age. Like,
Yeah.
you might get a band to tour Townsville once a year.
Yeah.
Maybe you might get to see, like, I think when I was at uni, we had an opportunity to see Machine Gun Fellatio and She Had. And those were
Hmm.
the two bands that toured through Townsville
Yeah.
the entire year. You know, like, and I think Machine Gun Fellatio had a local opener, but She Had never did.
Hmm.
Um, and that was it, man. You know, like, whereas these days you guys seem to be getting every other touring band is doing a date in Townsville.
Again, I
And
think there's like post COVID is like more. I think more bands are pushing regional
yeah,
just because like the cities started shutting down. So it's like I think it's, and then I think it's made bands realize that um there are people that are hungry to see music. And there's
yeah,
also like there's other reasons too. I mean, there's government money and there's grants behind regional touring, which
yeah,
helps. And you know,
yeah,
not to discredit bands for coming out here. Just not like they're just doing it for easy money grabs, but it's just like
yeah,
On the contrary, it's probably a big risk to come out to regional towns because like you don't know if you're going to make money.
Well, that's
Oftentimes
it.
they probably don't, but I think also they more bands also want to foster scenes and try and inspire people as well, and just I don't know, give the regional a shot. And yeah, I don't know. And I think there's
Yeah,
also really good bands coming out of regional. Um, that are putting in the work and like thanks to the internet you don't have to you can be kind of anywhere and have access to a lot of stuff and make really quality stuff wherever you are.
yeah.
And I don't know,
And I think,
we're pretty stubborn. Oh, sorry, you go.
um, yeah, I think it is definitely different these days in terms of like the avenues guys in regional towns have to be able to get their music out to, say, an audience in Brisbane or a bigger city from their house. Like
Mm,
you've got guys who know how to record quality radio, quality music,
yep.
and now you've got these live streaming avenues as well,
Hmm.
where there's always been quality recorded music coming from Townsville. The problem was actually getting it into the ear holes of people that wouldn't otherwise look for it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, uh, so touring wise, have you guys looked at doing larger tours? Because I know you've done a few dates in Brizzy. Um,
We mainly do like as far as tours go. We haven't done like I when I say like real tour, I mean like a couple of weeks of shows kind of thing. We haven't really done
yep,
that before. We always just do a weekender here and there. If we do like, I mean, we got the Smith Street 3 date thing. We've done that a couple of times here and there, just like the northern regional run sort of thing. We got the Japan tour coming up, which have you heard about that one?
yeah, I
Yeah.
did want to talk to you about that.
So that's going to be our first real tour. That's like 7 shows. It's like one show, then a break, and then like six in
Yeah,
a row. And
nice.
like yeah, so that's going to be the first real one. It's our first show outside of Queensland, and then
Yeah,
it
yeah,
happens. It also just
and
happens
it's
to
in
be outside the
Japan.
country as well. Yeah.
Well, um, the music scene in Japan's a bit of a different one. Like I've got what actually before you go, you and the boys should go around and see my old mate Matty Elwin
Hmm.
and get his wife to teach you a few key phrases because she's
Oh,
Japanese.
Megumi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Megumi. Yeah, we used to work
Oh,
together. Yeah,
oh,
I was gonna say
really?
I didn't know that was Matt's last name, but yeah, I know Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's Townsville, man. Well, what can
Yeah,
you
man.
say?
Yeah, yeah. They live near my parents. I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
them all the
yeah.
time.
Just
But
around the
yeah,
corner. Yeah.
yeah. But
So
yeah, we've actually been taking in like a bit of effort to learn some Japanese, just to be respectful and just to
yeah,
be
yep,
mindful of the culture. And it's not. I feel like it's not hard to put in a bit of effort to to the scene that you would like to be a part of. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So we're all trying to do a little bit to learn a bit of Japanese, some key phrases, also just for survivability, just because we
yeah,
got to navigate the train system and shit like that. Like it's not, it's going to be lovely being there, but it's not
yeah,
necessarily a holiday. It's like
yeah.
we have,
You've got
especially like in Japan,
deadlines
they're
and
very
places to
big.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're very big on punctuality, and
yeah.
it's our first time going, so we want to be fucking on time. You know
On
what I
time.
mean? And
Yeah.
so
No.
we gotta be able to tell people if we need help on the train, and yeah,
Yeah.
and just be
Yeah.
polite and
It's
respectful, and yeah,
it's easy. It's easy to get. My brother and my cousin went to Japan at one stage,
yeah.
and one of them got on the train, and the other one didn't quite make it.
Oh
And
no.
so he's like, "Get off at the next station.
Yeah,
I'll get
yeah,
on the
yeah,
next train, and I'll just wait there, and then we'll make
yeah,
sure we both get on the next." Because,
yeah,
like you said, they're very punctual. Like the train's here,
yeah,
the train's gone.
yeah. They
So,
don't muck around, man. So
um,
we gotta be on our
yeah,
game. Yeah.
you boys chose a quite stressful place to go for your first tour, but
Yeah, man. No, sink us.
again,
I'm trying not to think about it too much. I'm trying to just like, cause
uh,
people are being are you nervous? Are you nervous? And I'm kind of coming at it with the mindset of just like, it's gonna be good because it
yeah,
has to be.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean,
which sounds a bit psycho or sounds a bit um, like a bit fucking almost like a movie, like, oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
got to be good, but it's kind of, you got to be a
it
little bit
is.
like
I
you,
know. I,
uh,
I think
on a
that's
manifestation in a way, in a
yeah.
weird way. I don't know if that's the right term to use there, but just being
Oh,
like, this is gonna work out, and I'm gonna make it work out. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, and it's that mentality of like, no, no, this has to work.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
rather than like, well, we hope it works.
Yeah, I hope we don't get lost. It's like, no, we're not gonna get
We're not
lost
gonna get
because we're gonna
lost.
be on our shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
it.
we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen. And like,
And I
yeah,
think I think having that mentality will also allow you at the end of the day to have a much more enjoyable tour. Because at the end of
mm,
the day, it's like, no, we're here. We've done our sound check. We're gonna put on
yeah,
an awesome show, and
yeah,
then
for
we can
sure.
chill afterwards.
Yeah,
We're
we're
not.
also pretty fortunate to have like the guy that's helping book the tour, uh Chris. I'm not sure of his last name. Guy from Cairns. Any bands out there, just hit us up and we can maybe put you in contact, if I think if he's okay with that. I mean, we'll have to ask about that, but like,
Yeah,
he just books bands to go of any caliber. You know what I mean? Like, you can have a small following like us. You can have a smaller following. You can have a
yeah,
bigger following. It doesn't matter. Like, he just, I don't know. You just kind of pick
yeah.
roughly the
Right.
time that you want to go there, and he books the shows based on that. So it's like, obviously we're not making money from
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Like, it's just it's like, we just kind of wanted to go, and we just thought, let's make like a band trip out of it.
Yeah,
Let's.
well, that's right. Like, if you're gonna have a holiday anyway,
So yeah, I
why
think the
not?
way I think the way he booked it was just like, oh, okay. He just kind of pointed out when the flight sales were. He's like,
Yeah,
these are when cheap flights are. This is like, if you want to pick any of these sort of
yeah,
areas, I'll try and book around that. That's kind of the way it went.
yeah. Right.
And then we were just like, fuck it. And then it just happened. And then we were booking ACOM, got our passport sorted. We started hearing back from the venues. Some Japanese bands are reaching out to us, and it's like, oh, it's happening. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Wow, that's
yeah, we're like getting rail passes and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, it's
that's
crazy.
fun. That's fun. I had to go with someone, my brother, when he went to Japan to go and get his rail pass.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that's awesome, dude. And how long? So how long did all that take to come together? Like, you're going to be planning this for a
it's been a
couple of
few months.
months?
We've been
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about it for a while, so definitely since the end of last year, it's been in the works. But I feel like it fully only really locked in properly about 3 or 4 months ago. I lose track of time pretty easily, so
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if you can quote me directly on that. But yeah, it only locked in properly fairly recently.
yeah.
We just did
Right.
the announcement the other
Yeah,
week. Um, yeah, so it's like, I don't know, it's kind of a lot of
because
talk, a lot of talk, a lot of planning, and then I feel like it snowballs. It's going to snowball very quickly towards the end of this month. Yeah.
you guys have been busy. You've had like two EPs out and your mixtape out this year. Yeah,
It was like a series of singles,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, it was meant to be. It was meant to be like singles Waterfall released. Which, if you haven't heard of it, Waterfall
yeah,
is basically like, you see bands these days on, particularly on Spotify. They're
yeah,
like, they release a single, then they release another single, and the other
yeah,
single is with that. They kind of stack them up,
yeah, yeah.
and usually only do that when you have a bigger release. But
Coming.
yeah, yeah, we kind of started doing it, and then we kind of accidentally released the EP. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it just kind of happened. I was like, oh fuck, that is the EP. And so like,
yeah, yeah,
we had like this time booked out last month to release like a body of work. I'm
yeah,
like, well, we've already released it. Like,
yeah.
so
Everything's
like,
out.
and
Like,
that's how we came up with the idea to do the mixtape. Was to like, I was like, let's do some B sides, let's do some acoustic takes, and um maybe, yeah, let's do a couple of different things. Just give our supporters something a little different, because I feel like it would be weird to be like, here's the EP and it's just the 4 songs that
yeah,
you've already
yeah,
listened to,
yeah.
just
It's
with a
like,
different
wait a
title. You know what
minute,
I mean? Like,
wait a minute.
yeah, wait, I've been bamboozled. But it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, so that's why we did the mixtape.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but yeah, we're always just working on stuff and finding ways to, because half of us are in Brizzy and half of us are here
yeah.
in
Right,
Townsville.
right.
It's literally an even split. It's four and
Yeah,
four, and it's like, we just have the means to engineer and record ourselves in each respective city,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
we kind of send stuff back and forth, and we demo and we write, and we're very fortunate to have Hayden in the band, who's just like a mixing, producing, like just brilliant fucking machine of a man.
Yeah, right.
And he's been like mixing and doing the majority of the production on like the entire that whole mixtape.
Yeah,
Other than Fishhook, which I think was a lot of that was Mason Rowley from
yeah.
you wouldn't you'd know Mason like O Forest Shore, or he's got a
Uh,
project called Archers now from Cairns. I reckon you would have met him
yeah,
before.
I
Yeah,
might have,
he was
man.
playing with Rob Howe a lot back in the day, but yeah,
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, I
but
probably did meet him then.
yeah,
But I haven't seen Rob House since
since the glory days.
2000. Yeah, like 2017, man. I think was the last time I saw old Rob Howe.
Yeah.
And I think 2000. I know. I did. When was the last you guys played? 2021. I saw you guys at Palm Creek.
Hmm.
And it was
Yeah.
weird, man, because I'd known about you guys for a long time,
Yeah.
and maybe even listened to a couple of the tracks,
Hmm.
but hadn't had a chance to see you because you guys had kind of started to hit it right after I moved back down to Brisbane. So it was funny because Ben, back in the 3 Mile Day roads, he's like, "Oh man, when Alex finally gets his shit together and gets a band going, they're gonna fucking break time. Like definitely gonna break it out. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's gonna do big things. Like that guy's way too talented and way too skilled at playing instruments to just be in a mediocre band. Like his band will do things." I was like,
Yeah.
all
Sweet.
right, we'll see about this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I
Just
moved back to
didn't know if it was like the Big Brother pride. Yeah, like
I was like, we'll
like
see
yeah, yeah,
about
sure,
we'll
man.
see
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this, man.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Shoot for the stars, man. Yeah, like,
and then I moved back down to Brisbane, and every other week there's like, oh yeah, late November doing this and late November doing that. I'm like, yeah, Ben wasn't wrong. Yeah, cool. That's good. Like, good for him.
I mean, like we're by no means like we're not that much further ahead than anyone else in the Townsville scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
As I said, it's a close knit scene, and we're all still supporting each other, and we've all got like, we got a long way to go. But I feel like we're doing enough of the right things to get a little bit more attention than most, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we just gotta just keep that going. Like as I said, like I don't know, you can't really stop to think about it too much. You just gotta like, you know, obviously plan things. I'm not saying
Yeah.
don't think about it at all, but it's just like not we can't overthink it. We just gotta be trying stuff and always have something in the works.
Oh,
Because that seems to be realistically that seems to be the only thing that works in, as far as I know, in this industry. Not that I know
yeah.
much about the industry, but it's like I don't know. I've been to a few like industry meetings and stuff like that. With like I went to Big Sound, which if you don't know is
Oh,
like
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
I went to
yeah,
Big Sound and I got a delegate pass and I went like big labels and stuff like
yeah,
Mushroom
yeah.
Group and stuff like that, and we're giving keynote speeches, and there was like these like table talks where you go around and you talk to industry people and you just kind of like see what knowledge you can get out of it.
Yeah,
And
right.
like the main thing, honestly, like um the main thing a lot of people were saying was like no one really knows what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which is pretty funny. Like you get all these really successful business guys who are like, I don't know, we just kind of tried this and it worked. And it's like, but the main thing I learned was like if you're just always planning for something and always working on something and
yeah,
have some work ready to present to people, and you're just doing that as often as possible, something is most likely going to happen,
yeah,
if that makes sense. So
yeah.
it's like luck has a big part of it, but if you're in as many places as you can be, obviously your luck is going to increase. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So it's
think
like there's no definite key to success, but it's just like if you're just always working on something, then maybe most likely some success is going to occur,
it's kind
in
of
my
a
opinion.
it's kind of a it's a two-step process, like, or it's two-part process, right? So there's the aspect of always be creating, which is like
Hmm.
be writing that new song or be coming up with that new riff or
Yeah.
be drawing that new picture, whatever. But
Yeah.
there's also the flip side to that, which is also always be presenting.
Mhm.
So like always have something that you're writing or working on, but always be ready to or take the given opportunity to show off what you've got whenever someone
Yeah,
gives you
for
that,
sure.
and seek opportunities to show off what you've been creating.
Yeah.
Um, because I think a lot of people create and they create and they create, but it never really goes anywhere because they either present not at all, so they don't
Mhm.
get out there and present to the world, or when they do present, they're not they're not presenting often enough or in such a way that people are appreciative of their art.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that you guys seem to be doing really really well is that you're always creating, so you're writing new music, you're rewriting stuff, whatever, and
Mhm.
recording, but then you're presenting yourselves quite a lot, so you're playing plenty of gigs,
Mm.
and not just playing gigs, but also putting out your music into. I think that's a big thing as well. That
Yeah, consistent release stuff and
yeah,
like and also like a variety in releases too. Like doesn't have to just be like a super polished single every time that you
yeah,
think is going to be the thing that's going to break through. Like sometimes you can just put out like we just put out like anniversary editions of some old songs recently because we just wanted to put something out in a space, you know. We just you
yeah,
just look at a space and then you kind of look at what you have in your backlog and then just think about what's appropriate to release in that time and what you want to save for later. And because I feel like a really crippling thing can be like obviously I feel like almost every creative would understand the feeling of like you put your heart and your soul into something and you think it's going to be like this shortly this is going to be the thing, right? And you
yeah,
put it out and it doesn't get the attention that you want it to, and then you kind of fall into this big slump and then that big gap happens and it makes
yeah.
it even harder to come back from that, you know
Come
what I
back
mean?
and right.
But
No,
I think what we started to get in tune with was putting out something that we are very fucking proud of and owning it, but not writing on it like this is the ticket. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Being like, we're really fucking proud of this. Have a listen and be like, will it work? I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're working on the next thing. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
And I think that's and that's a lesson that even like I've been learning um for a long time, and it does take like that idea of be proud of what you're putting out, but don't put all your eggs in one basket.
yeah.
And be ready to start doing the next thing as second you get that thing out. Like, don't wait for the approval of people of what you've already done to start doing the next thing. Get that out, start the next thing, and if they love it, awesome.
Hmm.
Like that's great. But don't rely on that to fuel your fire for the next thing. Like,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's a trap a lot of creative types fall into, is that like I'm super proud of this thing. It's so great. It's going to be loved by everybody. And then they put it out and a handful of people like it and they think it's the best thing ever. But
Hmm.
it doesn't do as well as they thought it would. And they've relied on
Or it gets negative feedback
oh,
and they're like,
yeah,
what? Like,
oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it gets negative feedback even worse. Then they go,
Mm.
oh, wait, like everything I ever do now is a failure.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's one of those tricky things as a creative person, is that like, yeah, you want other people to enjoy what you're doing. You definitely don't want people to like take a shit on it, but at the same time, you have to kind of understand that people will like,
Yeah.
you know,
I was just about to say that. Like, there's always going to be, for healthy reasons or not, like some people will want to give you genuine feedback to help you.
yeah,
That's great. Some people will just want to shit on you for the sake of shitting on you. Either
yeah,
way, you're never going to escape criticism. So the sooner you kind of arm yourself to deal with it, the better. Like, in my opinion. And it sucks that it is that way. It doesn't mean I want it to be that way. Ideally, everybody just gets to put out what they want, and people can just mind their own fucking business. But it's like that's just not the way it is. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a free society. It's a free speech thing. People get to say what they want, and you get to put out what you want. So people get to put out their opinions when they want. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's a transaction. It's
yeah.
like
That's right. Yeah.
yeah.
So and like now knowing that, what are some of the kind of coping things that you guys do, or you individually, or even as a band, if you do come up across like negative feedback or um, people people not necessarily being mean, but making comments about your music that like aren't necessarily positive all the time. How do you?
Um, I think like obviously we like check in with you. I mean, in our particular situation, we've got a big group
Yeah,
that we can check in with. You know what I mean? So we have each other. Um, so from my point of view, it's probably a little bit easier than most, is I can check in with Leitnov. It's
yeah,
like seven of my best friends. You know what I mean? And we can, if we take in certain negative feedback, it's also like just trying to I guess evaluate whether or not the feedback is going to positively affect the next release.
yeah,
Like, and is the feedback entirely relevant to what you've put out? Because like sometimes artists will put out something for a desired effect, and some people, I think some people get it and they love it, and then some
yeah,
people miss the memo and they think it has to be something else, and they criticize it based on what they think it should be,
yeah, yeah,
if that makes sense. So it's like, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think it depends what your aim is. If your goal is to put out super refined, high quality pop radio music, and you get some feedback that's like, oh, the vocal quality is bad and the lyrics aren't catchy, and
yeah,
then you could be like, okay, you can take that in and be like, okay, so this is stuff that is going to help uh, make a radio hit.
yeah,
If that
yeah,
makes sense. But if you're putting out like a passion project song that is like it's messy and it's like weird and it's something that you love and people are like, this is bad. It's like you don't necessarily have to take that on board,
yeah,
because it's like you know in your heart what you're trying to achieve with that,
yeah,
if that makes sense. So it's like, I don't know. And then also like, I think, I guess we reach out to people in advance to get opinions on songs and stuff like that, and we're pretty approachable guys, and
yeah,
obviously we're in a pretty small local scene, so it's like people tell us what they think. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like no one owes us anything, so it's like no one's gonna blow smoke up our ass for no reason. It's
yeah,
just like,
yeah,
um, but yeah, as for, I don't know, I guess that's my advice on, from my opinion, which is
yeah,
like the like a small following sort of local level of trying to break into the biggest scene. What what big artists must go through, like, like even like if you take it to the extreme, like Ed Sheeran and stuff like
yeah,
that, those guys that just get hate for no reason. I wouldn't know how to deal with that because I've never had to deal with that,
yeah,
and that's like a thing. As I said, there's going to be trolls out there that are going to want to put you down just for the sake of putting you down,
yeah,
and especially if you're like putting out sponsored ads and stuff like that, which takes like any content you make to a wider audience.
yeah, yeah,
um there's people that are just going to shit on you, and that's happened to us, and
yeah,
like, I've read some pretty fucking harsh comments before, and I've just gone like, okay, like, just kind of evaluated what they're saying. I was like, is this truly helpful to me? Like, just exploring how it makes you feel, talking about it with, your group, that, or just people that support you. They're like, oh, someone said this. I'm like, and then just yeah, just like discussing it. I guess discussing it is the best thing you can do,
Yeah, I think
and just for figuring how it's going to affect you positively.
yeah,
And if it's
yeah,
not going to affect you positively, you probably don't need to take it on board.
yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah,
making that judgment call at about like, is this someone actually trying to give me um like helpful criticism? That
yeah,
like they're trying to give me pointers about like, well, maybe if you tried this or you did this or
yeah,
this could be a bit more polished, you know?
yeah,
And you can make that judgment call of like that's actually some insightful criticism rather than
yeah,
someone being like, man, this sucks. What a fucking punsy fucking riff. And that's
yeah,
like,
yeah, or something.
okay,
Or,
that's not helpful to anyone,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like
Yeah, and you can kind of pan that. Like, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't hurt, but it's also like, I don't know. I find that stuff a bit easier to be like, like I don't. I can kind
yeah.
of
And I think
evade that a little
I
bit. You
think
know what I
I
mean?
think at the end of the day, like, you know, um, you've kind of got to do that for your own mental health.
Mm.
To kind of go like, look, man, like it's not doing me any favors if I actually legitimately take on board these comments from these guys that are just they're shitting on my music for the sake of shitting on someone's music. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
for sure.
this is not criticism. This is just someone having a
This
laugh
is this is
and
trolling, is
throwing it.
what it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
that's all it is.
Mm.
Um, so in
Yeah.
terms of writing, when you're writing with the band, are you guys currently writing as a big unit? Like you said you're doing a lot of
Yeah.
file sharing and recording here and sending out. Like, is that how you're doing most? Is you know like someone will write a riff and send it to the rest of the band, and they'll write stuff
Yeah.
around it,
I'd say
or
naturally, uh and like it's not forced to be this way, but I think naturally Cody and I take the helm for a lot of like structural songwriting, if that
yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense. So like I write the majority of the lyrics and Cody writes the majority of the riffs. We'll kind of put something together in like a baseline structure of a song, and then we kind of we demo it, send it, we put it in a drive, everybody gets to listen to it and be like, okay, where do we go from here? And that's when the group becomes a part of it.
yeah, yeah,
And you know what I mean? And that's where, because like, yeah, the writing is very much split evenly, in my opinion.
yeah,
Because like, even though, okay, I might write most of the lyrics and I might do the structural stuff, but like, it's the final product has everybody's input on it,
yeah,
and I couldn't achieve that unless everybody's part of that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, because I with the horn section and stuff like that, like
yeah,
I might have
yeah.
ideas for them, but ultimately they decide what they're
They're
gonna do.
playing. Yeah,
Like I can have a strong opinion on stuff, but I'm not gonna force them to do anything that they don't want to do. You know what I mean? Or
yeah,
that
yeah,
because that's their instrument. So who the fuck am I to be like, I think you should do this when it's like,
yeah,
you don't play this, bro.
yeah, dude.
Like, you think we should do this? And it's like, okay, sweet. I
Yeah,
believe that. Like,
sounds good when you guys do it that way.
yeah,
Keep doing it that way. I think
yeah,
that's a tricky thing that I always like had as being drummer in a band, right? Like
mm,
I feel like a lot of the time people think that they know how to tell the drummer like, maybe not so busy or maybe like and I've been in bands with guys who are drummers who are like,
yeah,
do your fucking thing. Like
hmm,
because
yeah,
they're
yeah,
coming from the perspective of like, no, just he doesn't get up and tell us to play an A instead of an F sharp. Don't tell him to hit
yeah,
that drum instead of that drum. Like, so,
yeah,
but I think that's like, and coming from bands as well as there's been a front man who's done the writing and the recording and then brought it to the band and said, all right, this is how this song goes. And
yeah,
we've all added our parts. And he's gone, how about you do it this way instead? And I think
yeah,
that can that can be helpful
mm,
if you're hiring session musicians and
yeah,
you've written everything and you're just like, all
yeah,
right, we're playing a gig on this date, come in and learn it.
for
But if you're
sure.
gonna
Yeah,
be you're gonna be a band and write together as a band, which you guys are,
yeah,
um, I feel like it's a bit ironic when the singer guitarist tells the horn player, like, I think you might be playing the wrong note.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what key is my
And
instrument in?
that's not to say we haven't had we've had our disagreements and stuff
Yeah,
like that. And like in any situation where you're recording stuff and you're together for an extended period of time and you're getting passionate about shit,
yeah,
obviously you're gonna rub each other the wrong way every now and again. Like there's, it's not easy, but I think in the end you just have to trust each other and give each other space. And I think that's where leading into the recording process, everybody has to be very clear about what you want to achieve.
yeah,
And I feel like we're obviously still figuring it out, but I think we've been very fortunate to achieve what we've achieved so far. And again, this is just my opinion. You could talk to the other guys in the band, and they could say something a little bit different. But I'm pretty confident that we check in with each other weekly. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Just on like a mental level, like all business and writing stuff aside, we just check in as friends because we were friends. We are friends
yeah.
formally and first and foremost before everything else.
And
So it's like, yeah,
that's definitely the vibe I get. Not just when I listen to the music, because there's definitely some like songs. Possibly, I'd say I'm gonna go out here and say definitely my favorite Late November song, "Never Ever," which
eh,
is a really strong focus on, like
checking in on your
checking in
mates.
with your mates and really
Yeah.
letting your mates know, like, nah, dude, like, you're all good with us.
Mm.
We think you're a top bloke. Keep doing what you're
Yeah.
doing. You know,
Yeah.
um, and I think like
Yeah.
that's.
I think that was yeah.
I think it's interesting as well. One of the things about your lyrics, I've like just this afternoon been listening back to a bunch of different songs, and they do a full gamut of like you got songs about um, like love songs. You got songs for your mates, but then you've got songs about like more like kind of deep, real heavy stuff like mental health and depression and like. But your lyrics are written in such a crafty way that it's not obvious what you're talking about to the point of like, oh, it could only be about this one thing that only
Yeah.
applies to that one person. Which
Yeah. Yeah.
that's one of my to me that's what makes a great lyricist is that someone that can write lyrics where I can be like, well, he could be talking about this, or like the relationship
Yeah.
with this person could be a friend or uh, a lover or an aunt or whatever. Like it's it's written in such a way that multiple situations can relate to it.
Yeah. 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 Thank you.
So
I'll take.
number one compliment, but like writing in that way, is that something you like consciously do, like kind of try not to write about anything too
I
specifically?
think. Yeah. I think it's more of a for me like a couple of different reasons. It's like obviously any writer that is trying to there's a fine line between like pandering and making your music accessible for a healthy reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yep,
So it's like, I try not to pander and like just use key phrases for the sake of using key phrases because I'm like, okay, this is gonna, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm not
like
like a
put
top
your
40 hit
hands in it.
writer where it's like, yeah, well, this is gonna make people feel sad because everybody this, But I have my experiences that I am aware are probably most likely pretty common
Yep,
on a certain level and just exploring that level that is common, if that makes sense,
yeah. So
and
yeah,
writing about that. And oftentimes I might start with a very specific idea, but then I'll just try and like zoom out a little bit every time and be like, okay, this is what happened here. What kind of situation is this? This is this kind of situation. How does that make me feel? It makes me feel like this. How could that make someone else feel? And then just talking to the people around you, and you're talking to my bandmates, and then reaching out and being like, yeah, and just letting the inspiration uh, just take a bigger form and then I guess that's what you're saying, where it kind of takes a bigger shape and then becomes like something that's a bit more universally uh, intriguing, interesting, evoking, whatever word you want to use. Um, and like particularly, like like I'm not a super educated writer, or person for that matter, but I just like I think the phrases and the words I use are pretty straightforward. I don't fuck around that much. I don't meticulously sit down, and I think there's merit. I love beautiful wordplay. People like Leonard Cohen, Gang of Youths, Julia Jacqueline, and Phoebe Bridges. All these awesome artists that use incredible wordplay that makes you think a little bit. I think that shit's awesome as well. But I also love the really straight down the barrel, say what you need to say, and if you're saying what you need to say on a topic that is widely um, what's the word? Mind blank on the word. Widely relatable.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's gonna hit in a. I think it's gonna hit on an emotional level. That
yeah,
is, that in a happy way or a sad way. It depends what the song's about. But like, if you're honest about it and say what you need to say, it's gonna hit on what you're hoping to hit on. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Uh,
And I think, yeah, I think the main thing I do strive for, though, in answer to your question, I try to strive for a a positive outlook in whatever, even darker songs like Dead Weight.
yeah,
I try to incorporate some sort of, like, not saying it has to, not all songs have to be positive. Like that's like Psycho, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's like
No sad songs. We're not
but like
actually emos. So.
yeah, like you can have a song that is sad and tackles issues that are depressing in a positive light. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Bands
yeah,
like Dear Seattle, Blink 182, even on a bigger scale, Smith Street Band, especially, and Middle Kids, a lot of great Aussie bands, and um, yeah, just like I guess that is my goal, is to like take on, not be afraid of taking on negative topics,
yeah,
but uh, thinking about it in a way that is positive and constructive and inspires people to be positive and constructive as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Not looking at things as a woe is me kind of thing.
yeah,
Like things can be better, or things like these are things that happen, and we need to be
yeah,
conscious of them, and you know, and not avoid talking about them.
yeah, for
They're
sure,
they're not always pretty subjects, but we should discuss them. Like these things
for
need to be
sure.
talked
Yeah,
about. Hey, one of the
yeah.
most relatable lyrics in any of your song has got to be the what song is it in? I can't remember what songs. It's the line is honestly I could kick my toe on the
Against the
corner of a kitchen table and
and
it
I bet.
wouldn't hurt as bad as you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
That
first
was
time
like,
I heard
yeah,
that
that's
lyric, I was like, wait. And I had to rewind and listen to it. I was like, that is one of the most genius lyrics I've ever, like, because it is such a relatable, like, everybody in the entire universe has kicked their
just kick the
toe on
toe
the
on
table and
something.
just been
Yeah,
like, oh, that is the worst pain you'll ever experience. And then you're like, no, this was worse than that. And it's like, holy shit, that would be, oh, that's
yeah. That
bad.
that's that's
Like,
fish hook. That's fish hook.
yeah,
Yeah. Honestly, I could kick my little toe against the corner of a kitchen table, and I bet it wouldn't hurt as much as you.
you,
I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's funny to me. I guess like you could take that in a dark way if you want. Again, like meanings are subjective,
yeah.
but like I don't know. I think
And,
Fishhook to me was like a bit more of a tongue in cheek sort of song, and
yeah,
like a play. Obviously, if you break it down, the song is about repressed emotions and not being able to say what you need to say in front of someone and bottling stuff up, and
yeah,
you know, like locking in pain, which is a dark subject.
yeah,
But again, you can present it in a way that um, can be almost comedic sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
Because tragedy and comedy are pretty close.
Oh,
Like
yeah, yeah.
there's a great Smith Street Band lyric where says, "Tragedy is comedy if you can get through it."
Yeah,
And I think
right.
I think I think that's like, I don't know. You've met my family. You know how we
Yeah,
operate. I think Looking at things in a funny way, even when they're not that funny, can be really important with coping with stuff. And I think that kind of shines through in my lyrics, I suppose, especially songs like Fishhook. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that is definitely an element that I think some of my favorite bands, or almost all of my favorite bands, have a little bit of an element of there's a comical side to a lot of the stuff they do.
Hmm.
And like they're not afraid to poach dark subjects, but they don't do it in a doom and gloom kind of way. They do it in a like, hey guys, we actually need to, as a civilization and as people, we need to discuss these things a little bit more openly and stop them from being taboo subjects. Like, but it
Mm.
also doesn't always need to be approached as like, oh, so and so's got anxiety and we don't really talk about it because it upsets them. It's like, no, we need to
Yeah,
acknowledge these things. Like like you said, not every song has to be a positive song,
yeah,
but things that sometimes don't get discussed, can be discussed in um, less than negative ways.
for sure. I
Yeah.
agree.
So, the Palm Creek this weekend. Anything special? Anything special?
Um, it's the first Palm Creek we've done with the new lineup.
Oh yes.
So that's going to be pretty cool.
Will there be enough
Um,
room for all of you on those tiny little stages?
I hope so. We played some small stages though, so we can make it work. We played a show in Brizzy at a bar called Tomcat, which is like a dive
Oh
bar.
yeah, that is a
Yeah, have you
tiny.
seen that?
Was that
Yeah,
all
that
80 you on that
yeah,
stage?
yeah, we got on that stage and
Jesus.
it was fine. Yeah, so I imagine there's going to be smaller stages, so we just got to be ready for anything.
Well, to be
Um,
perfectly honest, you're going to Japan. You better learn how to like shit on each other's shoulders while you're performing. To be like, but
yeah, yeah,
also
yeah.
crouch down real low while you're doing it so you don't hit your heads on the ceiling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We gotta be ready for anything, man. Gotta be like clown car spec, like all
Yeah.
fucking stacked on top of each other and shit. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it'll be first Palm Creek show with the new lineup. Uh yeah, I don't know. Every year is special in its way, and we're getting longer sets, we're getting later sets. Like uh I feel like Palm Creek has its own following that is separate from our usual following as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So it's like every year we get to play as like a treat because we're playing in front of people we don't always get to play in front of,
yeah.
other than at Palm Creek, if
Oh,
that
no,
makes
yeah,
sense. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Or
yeah.
sorry, other than at Folk Fest.
I think that's
So it's like,
that's
yeah,
yeah. One of the great things I've always enjoyed about Folk Fest is like, you know, I when I was in Townsville, I did a handful of gigs as Biggie Nixz, and like there'd be open mic nights and whatnot, and it'd be the same half a dozen, 2 dozen people there.
yeah,
But playing at Palm Creek, there's all these people from out of town that like they're not going to come to an open mic at the old courthouse on a Friday night.
yeah,
They
yeah.
will be at the open mic out at Palm Creek on a Sunday morning,
Just
and
say if you see me
like,
duck out, I'm just swapping charges real quick for my
oh,
laptop.
no worries, bro. And so yeah, that like Palm Creek's a kind of interesting one because you'll get people that live in Townsville won't go to a single live music event the entire year, but will
Hmm.
come out to Palm Creek,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
every year without fail. And it's like,
So
wow, like,
yeah. Some people like seek us out specifically, like for Palm. Like, I'm not saying people go specifically to Palm Creek for us,
yeah,
but like we'll be on people's minds as like a highlight of
yeah, yeah,
of the experience, which is like fucking incredible to me. Like yeah, and I think yeah, just in general, I think uh, there's this inherent feeling for me particularly. I, yeah, maybe it's a regional thing or maybe it's like a local band thing. But I don't know. There's always just this sinking feeling that one day people are just going to stop giving a fuck and stop coming to see you. So like every time we do these shows, and
yeah,
the people that turn up, especially in the number that they turn up for a band like us that's been playing in Townsville for what 8 years now.
yeah,
been playing Palm Creek every year. Like they don't have to. They've seen us so many times. They don't have to come and see us, but they do
Yep.
because it's like they treat us like it's yeah it's something special to them, and it's fucking really special to us too. It's fucking
Yeah.
insane, man. I can't believe it.
It
Yeah.
is great, man. It is really nice to have those local guys like yourselves who have, like, you started on the little stomp box, open mics, doing that stuff. And that's one of the things I think you guys have done right as a band. I think I said this last time we spoke at Palm Creek like 3 years ago. You guys really have progressed from like you've done the hard yards. You've like earned your place where you are
Hmm.
right now. Like you guys playing the main stage on a Saturday night is not by coincidence. It's not a fluke of luck. It's because you guys earned it and you're worthy of being there. And I think that's one of the things that Palm Creek really does. And like, I'm sure other festivals do it as well. But Palm Creek, I think, really is that opportunity to have a launching pad and be able to have like, look, you know, we've played to a crowd this big. We can do shows of this size so that you can put that in your EPK when you send it off to festival organizers
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like, hey
Get some
guys,
footage and stuff like that, and show people that like, hey,
you
this is
know,
what we're
like
capable of doing. Yeah,
this is what we can do, like
for sure.
we're not a bunch of country bumpkins. Like,
Not entirely.
we might dress and speak like
I
them.
think I think on that topic, I think it's really important to embrace certain parts of where you're from. Like I don't know, we tote the Townsville flag pretty hard,
Yep.
and like Townsville has a pretty I think has a fairly negative view. Like a lot of backpackers and stuff, a lot of visitors come here, and they're like, they get pretty sour about the place, and I understand why. Townsville has its drawbacks, but it's like I'm not afraid to like we're trying to represent the town in a positive way,
Yep.
and you know what I mean. Like we and like the main the goal is to like just push Townsville further uh up the ladder in terms of like more bands wanting to come here, and we want to do more like tour swaps and stuff like that. Part of the reason why we're still remaining based here is because like stubbornly we kind of want to try and make it as far as we can from here,
Yeah.
just to like I don't
And
know, just to hopefully prove that it can be done. I'm not saying like we know how to do it better than anyone else, but it's just like this is what we're trying to do. If we
yeah.
think we can do it, we're
Hey,
trying
look,
our fucking hardest. And yeah,
the
I don't
Middle
know.
East
It's working to some degree, I think.
the,
But
the
yeah,
Middle East made it work, man. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's and it's kind of funny, man. I think when I think of Townsville bands that have really made it, that have done big things, it's you guys and them. Really, at this point, I mean, other Townsville
No
bands.
way.
I mean, you didn't haven't quite peaked where they did yet,
Yeah.
um, but I really do think you guys are well on your way, in terms of. And look, I'm not that far into the Townsville scene. I don't know. Maybe there are other bands and stuff doing big things. I know.
Hidden
Con-
Pillars are great. You should check out Hidden Pillars
yeah, yeah.
and Native Tongue.
Hidden
Yeah.
Pillars, Native Tongue.
Native Tongue is super heavy, but Benny said you might be into heavier stuff as well.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like metal. Yeah, Native Tongue are like metalcore, deathcore.
Yeah,
Like
right.
yeah, they're fucking great. Check them out. The
Yeah,
production
right.
quality, incredible. Stagecraft, incredible. Jaden Joslin, one of the main writers, and he used to be the frontman for Native Tongue. He's the bass player. They got a new frontman, Braden, now. I say new, but he's been frontman for like the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, just fucking incredible band. Hidden Pillars, incredible band. Like
So
heavier than us, but like still in the alt rock territory sort of stuff.
okay, yeah,
Yeah. You'd especially like Hidden Pillars, I reckon.
yeah,
Probably
yeah,
more than us, to be honest.
yeah. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll have to check them out, man, because it's a funny thing, right? Like I know certain bands within different scenes, but I know that band from that scene, and then I'll look at the
Hmm.
bands that they're playing with and be like, oh, cool, I'll check them out as
Yeah.
well. Um, so it is nice and it's refreshing to have someone from within the scene go, hey, look, no, also you should have a look at these guys and these guys and these
Yep.
guys. So
Yeah.
yeah, Hidden Pillars. I'll definitely have a look at.
Hidden Pillars, Native Tongue.
Native tongues. I'm not sure. I
Comfort
know.
Royale, Matilda Duncan. I could go on. Coley.
Yeah.
Once I start, it's hard to stop. Hey.
And it is funny, man, because there is more and more stuff coming out of Townsville now, where it's like,
Yeah.
like for the longest time, Townsville kind of like you'd see a release from there on the odd occasion, whereas like now, and I don't know if it's the evolution of technology or what, but there just seems to be far more people releasing far more music from that area.
Yeah,
And
there's definitely been like. Have you heard of FNQ Originals, the Cairns station?
no.
You should check out.
Yeah.
You should check out that station if you're looking for like just cool local level bands doing high quality shit.
Yeah.
Check out FNQ Originals, man. Yeah, Baz and
Yeah,
Dev
right.
from Cairns. They're like they run a station there. They do podcasts and stuff as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's got a lot of great music. They play music from like Townsville, Mackay, Cairns, further north, stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
very cool.
I will have to check that out, man. Because
Yeah.
I do, like, I know the Brisbane scene. I don't get out into it often as much anymore. Unfortunately, when you've got 2 kids and a full-time job,
Yeah.
you don't get to go and see as much live music as I used to.
It's the thing. You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
You got to do what you got to do, man. And that's the thing, like, I'm 2 years off 40 now. Like, I'm the old guy standing at the back and being like, no, I don't want to be. Like, and don't get me wrong, I had a great time the last couple of festivals I went to, but I paid for it for a week afterwards. I'm definitely like, I got on the drums last night, and I'm definitely not gig fit at the moment. Like so.
Yeah, it's a physical tax,
Yeah. So, but man, it's really lovely to see you guys doing as well as you are doing. So when's the Japan
Cheers,
tour?
Biggie.
When's that happening?
So I think we get to Osaka on the 17th. I believe. 16th, 17th. Yeah.
Let me. How long are you in Osaka for?
To pull up. I don't know the schedule off by heart. I might have to look up our own poster, which is pretty embarrassing. But
you're not. Are you in any like one area for more than kind of 2 days, or?
We're in Osaka for a few days, I think. Tokyo, Kyoto. We're getting around a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'll chat to my cousin. He knows the good places to go and have fun in Osaka.
Yeah. We'd love to hear about it. Yeah, we're trying to get opinions on where to go.
And the mixtape's out. The mixtape's on all the.
Mixtape is out. Yep.
And I see you've got some sweet new jerseys.
Yeah, with deathcore logos.
Dude, that made me giggle. I was like, no one is gonna understand like what the heck is going on when they see
yeah.
Like someone.
I feel like maybe they will. I feel like the deathcore logo is becoming more of an aesthetic. Much to metalheads' dismay.
Oh, dude, that's what I mean, right? Like
I think you're seeing like pop artists and stuff doing like deathcore logos and stuff like that now. So it's like, yeah,
someone's gonna see someone wearing a Late Nove deathcore jersey, and like some metalhead's gonna be like, check that out.
Yeah, and they'll listen to us and they'll be like, what the fuck is this?
I seem to have been tricked.
Yeah. Like, damn you indie boys. I don't know. We just like the aesthetic, man. Like, I don't know.
It is cool. Like, and I think it's great, man. I mean, I think more bands should.
That's Cody. Shout out Cody. Cody, you met Cody, right? He was bass player, guitar player now.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, Cody, he designs most of, if not all, the merch.
Oh,
so,
right.
Like, he does a design for most of the stuff in Late Nove. He does like cover arts, music videos. He's a fucking machine, man. Yeah. He's also like the main manager, yeah. So you
guys pretty much keep it all in house, yeah? Like you haven't kind of
mostly, yeah. We have a booking agent. Shout out Mac. We have we're looking to outsource for a couple more things. Like, found out that like it's important to have a lawyer.
Yeah.
Just in general. obviously not just like for more things than what you might think. Uh, like lawyers can just basically the more stuff you have in place for you to be a legitimate business, the more likely you are to be taken seriously.
Yeah,
That makes sense. So if you have stuff like lawyers in place, and if you got like your business structure in place, um, yeah, like you're more likely to get festival slots and label interest and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because people are like, oh, this band is taking themselves seriously. It's like if you want the promotion, you know what I mean. You got to act like the manager. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
yeah,
I think and that is an interesting. I mean, obviously, you're not going to have a lawyer within the band 99% of the time. You know, not an achievement
that'd
band.
be
So
pretty
it was
funny.
like,
Yeah.
no, this is our lawyer slash bass player. Like,
Yeah, yeah. He's like brings out the briefcase. But for
yeah,
the majority, yeah, we are very much in house. Everything recorded and mixed in house. We're starting to outsource for mastering soon, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
But all that mixtape was entirely in house.
Wow, and you guys
Um,
mastered that all yourselves as well?
that's mastered by Hayden. Yep,
Yeah,
mixed
dude.
by Hayden,
To
our
be
bass
honest,
player. Some of the
I wouldn't be
stems were
worrying about.
recorded. Hey, sorry.
I wouldn't be worrying about outsourcing that mastering, man. Like, it sounds pretty mint to me.
Hey,
Like,
shout out Hayden. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
machine. And yeah,
I'm definitely
so,
gonna
some
get
of the
that
stems
right
were
up.
recorded by Mark Myers, who from
Oh
Mark
yeah,
is from the Middle East. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
the
Mark.
band,
Yeah,
not the country, but
yeah,
yeah. Some of the stems were recorded by Mark Myers. Some of the mixing on Fishhook, most of the mixing on Fishhook was done by Mason.
yeah. Right.
A lot of stuff recorded by us, just with our own laptops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff recorded in Lucinda. We moved into an Airbnb for like 8 days, turned it into a makeshift studio,
Wow.
recorded bunch
In
of tracks there
Lucinda of all
in
places.
Lucinda. Yeah, yeah, just keeping it Queensland. Even where we
Yeah.
go
Right.
is like very much in house. Like we try to keep it in
Hell,
Queensland if we're recording. We try to like, yeah.
Townsville's not remote enough for us. We're going to Lucinda.
Yeah, yeah, man. It was beautiful, man. It was like
Dude, yeah,
right on
it's
the
a nice
beach,
part of the
like
world. Oh, anyway, what a
at this
place to
Airbnb.
record.
It was like pretty removed from other houses. So it was like, yeah, could just make as much noise as we wanted. It's fucking incredible. Yeah.
Nice.
So
That's
yeah,
the way
yeah.
to do it. That's the way to do it. Meanwhile,
But yeah, it's mainly self-managed. As I said, like we have meetings, we talk about everything. Cody pushes the majority of it, followed by Ado, and then Hayden with a lot of the mixing prod stuff. Sam, our drummer, does a lot of production stuff on the tracks. There's a lot of electronic and things outside the box in terms of production. Sam does a lot of that.
yeah, right.
Yeah, everybody's super involved. Hey, Denzel, riff machine, and Denzel is just like uh massive influence on us on like a spiritual and like aesthetic level, and just like the way we believe in the project in general is like
Yeah, yeah.
it's really hard to explain like the impact Denzel has had on us. It's like on such a
And he's one of
yeah,
the
like
newer members.
no, Denzel's one of the OGs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's yeah,
Oh,
Denzel's the lead guitarist. Yeah, just fucking incredible guy, man, and just such a unique perspective on music and the way we can look at approaching things. And
yeah.
yeah, just fucking awesome dude, man. Uh, who else? Chris Anthony. Um, so the sax player, trumpet player. Just Chris has got like perfect pitch, so he can
Oh,
like when in the rehearsal process or in the recording process, he can hear like certain chords that don't match up. Like yeah, but he's not like a dick about it. He's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like this is right.
No,
He's just like lets us know like, okay, this is the note that you're playing. Maybe we should be doing this, and it's like he's awesome, man. And he like
yeah.
Chris can score music on
Oh, right.
like an orchestral level and shit
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
Like
That's
um
handy to have.
yeah, he's a machine. Anthony, he makes beats and stuff as well. He plays guitar, saxophone, he sings. He's a hype machine.
Yeah,
Like I feel like I used to be the most energetic member on stage, but since Anthony joined,
yeah.
it's all eyes on him.
Oh,
Like
really?
he doesn't stop moving. He's jumping like at my head height. Like
Far out. That's awesome,
just
dude.
like
Like,
always dressed to the nines, always
yeah.
swagged up. Like, yeah, it's just
And
machine. Yeah,
I think like it is interesting, like to have such a big band, but each individual member doing their own thing,
yeah,
and I mean, 8 members, man.
yeah.
We used to struggle to get 4 guys together in a room that'll be all on the same page.
Yeah, it's a pretty
So
crazy
it,
fortunate thing we
yeah,
have. Hey, Ado, tennis sax player, he's got heaps of experience with live production and like
yeah,
stagecraft, and he's also just very punctual and very like very much pushes us to be like professional in that side of stuff. Like obviously we slip up every now and again. We're late to
yeah,
things every now and again, but Ado's very much pushing us. Ado and Cody are pushing us to be like
yeah,
on time to shit and putting the best foot forward, and it's working. Ado also handles all the socials, and he's funny as fuck, man. Just
yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't know. We've been talking about for ages. Have I gone through everyone yet? I
yeah, yeah.
think I think I
I think
got through everyone.
that's
Who am I missing? Sam, Prod,
no, that's it.
Hayden, mixing, Prod, Cody, main manager, designer, Ado, social media, stagecraft, Chris, Anthony, fucking hype beasts, Denzel, just aesthetic mastermind.
Yeah,
I could talk about my band all day. I love those guys, man.
yeah.
Like, just I'm so
Uh,
as you said, like I've heard people struggle with smaller groups to get stuff together. So to have the operation that we have with this many people that are this passionate about it for this fucking long as well.
yeah.
Like because we've been doing this for a bit and it hasn't been easy for most of it, and like yeah, it's been I don't know, it's just
8 years is
yeah,
a long time to
pinch myself all the time, man.
yeah,
It's a
dude.
really
I
special thing
mean,
to have.
to be honest, hats off to you for sticking with it for so long, man. Like 8 years is a long time to commit to anything, you know,
Yeah, it's
and
like
and and to commit to we're doing this thing that's going to cost us money and may never give us any money,
yeah,
but will
yeah,
give us
borderline insanity, isn't it?
like man, it really is, and like, but that's being a musician, full stop, right? Like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go and spend money on getting an instrument that maybe I'm the only person that ever hears what I do with it,
yeah, yeah,
and that's good enough for me,
hmm
you know. And
yeah,
then if
yeah.
other people want to hear me do it, yeah, I'll do it for them. Like, like,
Sweet, yeah, yeah.
but I'll be happy to do it for you just because you want to hear it, not because I like dying to have you give me money for it. Like,
Although it would be
but
appreciated.
if you do want to throw a couple of coins this way, I'm not going to feel offended.
Yeah,
But it is, I mean, and I think you guys really did do it the right way. And, you made that, what seems to me pretty clear, you made that decision early on as a band that, like, no, this is what we're doing. We're making
hmm
this work. We're not going to half-ass it. We're
yeah,
going to give it everything we've got.
hmm
And not only that, is that we're going to keep giving it everything we've got
yeah,
until the wheels completely fall off,
yeah,
and
man.
there is no way any of us can go on with it anymore.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
often,
working for
often
you,
like,
man.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I often like people because obviously when you're doing it for this long and you see older friends from high school and stuff like that, and yeah, they're kind of like, oh, you're still doing the band thing, and some people are like condescending about it or whatever. It used to bother me. It doesn't bother me
Yeah,
anymore. Of like, people like, still doing that little band thing.
yeah, it's just
that's the cutting one.
yeah, yeah,
Little band thing. It's like, oh yeah, that little
yeah,
band thing is
yeah.
just
That
my
little
life.
band
But
thing. It's
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
what I
yeah,
do. It's just my daily
yeah, yeah.
existence.
But
But also, when was the last time more than 4 people paid attention to what you were saying at once?
yeah. I mean, yeah. I try not to
Yeah,
get like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You know
But
what I mean?
it
Yeah. I
is,
try
it
not to get like
is.
cutting about it, but it's like I I think I figured out later on that I don't know. I figured out early on that I love doing this, and I
Yeah,
figured out later on that I'm content doing this,
yeah,
regardless of whatever success comes with it or doesn't come with it. I'll either be, I've joked to the guys a fair bit about like, we'll either be the crazy old dudes that never stopped
Yeah.
and are loving it because they're crazy old dudes that
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
stopped,
That
you know what
never
I mean?
stopped.
And we'll be happy, or we'll make it and we'll prove, you know, we'll prove that had the right idea and
Yeah.
we'll be happy. Either way, we're going to be happy, you know?
That's it. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, dude, that positive attitude that you guys have got and to keep going forward and keep pushing, and it's really refreshing to see, man, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's really, really great. And I'm so stoked to see you guys keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. And thanks for reaching out to do this podcast as well. Like, the fact that, someone wants to take enough time out of their night, on a school night, no less. On a school night, a man with 2 kids on a school night want to sit here and talk to me about my band for like an hour is, that's special to me as well. So yeah, thanks, Biggie. I appreciate this heaps, man.
Thank you, and keep up the good work, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Are we wrapping it up here?
Yeah,
yeah, that'll be a nice positive note to end on. Hey,
yeah.
Sweet.
So, I'm just gonna hit the end record button.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. So that was that. That was Alex
you gotta do your your outro sign off now.
Yeah.
What's your big sign off gonna be? If this is the first episode, I'm glad I can be here for the drafting process.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this is the end of the first episode. I think we've had a good chat.
I think we have. I think you probably heard enough of me.
I think if anybody is still curious about what you guys are doing or need to hear more, I'm sure if they go and check out Late November on all the different socials,
please
buy all the merch. Well, I want to hear from Alex in a week's time that they've completely sold out of merch and actually had nothing
Stocks
left.
are gone, brother.
Like, we got back from Palm Creek and there was one shirt left and 50 orders. Like, crap.
And they even bought the band members. There's nothing left but a leg. Anyway, yeah, thank you.
Lovely to chat, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Big. Peace.
Enjoy. I called up my friends and we had a chat. Talk about life and just chewing the fat. They'll find it here on Biggie Nixz. Small time big shots.